Hello YouTubers, today marks the 30th anniversary of Young Guns. Now, Young Guns was a film I saw when I was quite young. I was about maybe 8 years old when I first saw the film, but I actually caught this film via its sequel, Young Guns 2, on HBO, and I later found out about the original film. I visited my brother one summer in Dallas, and he had it on VHS, and that was my introduction to the original Young Guns. I immediately fell in love with this film. The only other Billy the Kid film I saw was a made-for-TV film starring Val Kilmer, but we got to see Emilio Estevez. That's right, Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid, among one of the best roles of his career. I love him in this role. He also had the rest of the Brat Pack of the 80s. He had Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, in addition to Dermot Mulroney and Casey Siemaszko. We also have Terrence Stamp as John Tunstall. We have Jack Palance as the villain Murphy. And Terry O'Quinn from Lost, he's McSweeney. And yeah, we also have Patrick Wayne, the son of John Wayne, as Pat Garrett in this film. And of course, this is based upon the Lincoln County Wars. Now, it did take a few historical embellishments. The character of Charlie Bowdre was killed prematurely in this film. He actually survived. In addition, John Tunstall was actually not an elderly man, he was in his mid-20s. But they did get Billy the Kid right with his right hand. The mirror image caused people to believe he was left-handed. They also had certain accounts that were taken from history onto the film. There's that wonderful scene where he's talking to that guy at the horror house, and he says, whenever you see Billy the Kid, just let me know. He's handsome, he has a thing for sad ballads and all this stuff, and he's mocking him. He's like, I see him! He's right there in the mirror! And that guy's just like, you're a testy little cuss, aren't you? I love that scene, and then Billy the Kid's just like, and then just like the guy's trying to shoot him, and then he just shoots him. I love it. That scene is amazing. We also have Doc Sherlock and Chavez. Both lived on to the 1920s. But we didn't have George Coe from the history books. There was actually 11 regulators instead of 6. And speaking of regulators, this is responsible for the Nate Dogg rap song. And Christopher Kane directed this, Dean Cain's stepfather. He later on directed films like Pure Country, but he does a fantastic job here. He brings a level of realism, and this has an edge, an 80s edge. And this movie cannot be replicated. This cast is one of a kind, not only in their generation, but also Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are Martin Sheen's children. Kiefer Sutherland is the son of Donald Sutherland. So you really get that next generation of actors. And Lou Diamond Phillips was very popular back then. Dermot Mulroney's in a very early role here. You will later on see him in many films and TV shows. American Horror Story, My Best Friend's Wedding, The Wedding Day, stuff like that. Insidious 3. And Casey Siemaszko is also in Back to the Future at the time and other films, among other TV appearances. But I do love Jack Palance as Murphy. He's an evil bastard in this. He's the villain. Hell's coming. I just love him. He has the voice for a villain. And I like the history here. You really are on Billy the Kid's journey. We get to see him commit a crime and John Tunstall take him in. He has this gang of outlaws that protect his ranch. And they're being educated at the same time. And we get to see Billy the Kid find a father figure and also find a chance to live a better life until Murphy's men take that from him. And it's tragic. It's done after New Year's Eve on New Year's Day. And it's a really great sequence. I love it. It spends about 30 minutes setting up the characters and showing us each individual, while also developing the relationship these men have with Tunstall. So when he is murdered in cold blood, we're on them on their journey being deputized. Of course, things get out of hand, and Billy the Kid takes over the gang of regulators and starts going after Murphy's men and Sheriff Brady. And it's a story about how they go from regulators to outlaws, Young Guns. 6 reasons why the West was wild. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the story. This film is a fantastic Western. It's not like your traditional Western. I'm trying to remember, like, if there was a Western that showed violence on this level. I mean, there was Westerns that were violent, that had content, but, like, there's a part here where somebody betrays them, and Billy the Kid just flat out blows the guy's brains out. And that was pretty brutal for the time and for Westerns. Before later on films we would see, like Tombstone or 3:10 to Yuma, that was actually pretty heavy. And yeah, the cast is wonderful. Doc Kiefer Sutherland was only 21 when he was in this. We have Lou Diamond Phillips, Mexican Indian son of a bitch. I love that as Chavez. And yeah, I love all the characters, their camaraderie. And yeah, the meaning of the word pals. The music is also very, very well done. Anthony Marinelli does the music for this. I love the opening theme of that black and white intro, and it has their profile. I also love the Kenny Chase music. It's very, very well done, and then that ending. A lot of that 80s synthesizer. You have all these scenes of them going after Murphy's men, but that final confrontation at McSween's house is crazy with that standoff. Tom Cruise has a brief cameo, hence Emilio Estevez's brief cameo in Mission Impossible. Both are in The Outsiders. But yeah, this is just an all-around feel-good movie, and 30 years later, I still think it holds up, but it's also a film that may not be well known to other people. Not many other films have been like this with a young cast. You had American Outlaws with Colin Farrell try to do it in the early 2000s, and I thought it just felt miserably. It wasn't Young Guns, and there's only one Young Guns. You can't remake this movie. This is just one of a kind with a special group of actors. Just everything was going on all cylinders at the right time, and it was of its time. I love it. Emilio Estevez gives his best role. I love Coach Bombay, but Billy the Kid is just amazing, and that is among one of his best roles, if not his best role ever in his filmography. I love Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid. It's no wonder that his first sequel was Young Guns 2, where he reprised a role. I love that finisher to Murphy. He's just like, reap the whirlwind, Murphy. Reap it. You son of a bitch. Oh, man. Shoots him in the head, and he's just like, now it's over. I love that. The whole, let's finish the game. Oh man, so many great moments. I also love that bit of foreshadowing with Pat Garrett where he comes to warn them about their friend in trouble, and Billy the Kid turns his back. He's like, you're my friend, Pat, right? And I love it because not only does it mirror the stories and what happened to Billy the Kid in the future with Pat Garrett, but there's a scene where they pay that off in number 2. And it's just like foreshadowing the future with Pat Garrett shooting Billy the Kid in the back, and I love the blocking of that scene. Just everything about that scene is perfect foreshadowing to what's to come in the future. And despite some of its premature kills and embellishments with history, it was very faithful in many ways. We didn't have Arkansas Davis until number 2, but still, a lot of the events did happen in a certain way. You had Buckshot Rogers, and the part Sheriff Brady had that wall ambush. Now, of course, it took a little bit of embellishments, but that was a great scene there. You're all around with these people on this revenge mission to go after Murphy's men and political corruption in Lincoln County. And yeah, Emilio Estevez perfectly conveys Billy the Kid's kind of craziness, but also that kind of like on the brink nature he has at the beginning. He's very educated. He wants a good life. And we get to see that hurt he has, that turmoil, when Tunstall's taken away from him, and something just snaps in him that causes him to go all out crazy. He's just like, I'm an outlaw now. I'm going to go kill every one of these son of a bitches who killed somebody I really cared about, you know. And these group of regulators were with him. And I just love this movie. This is a fantastic, well-done Western. I also love that scene with the peyote trip. That was pretty crazy with the drug content, but I love all the characters where Steve's just like, did anybody see the size of that chicken? And then Doc's there's like, look at the pretty butterfly. I'm a butterfly. I just love that, and they're different like drug trips throughout the film. It's just hilarious onto the spirit world, you know? It's just a funny scene in a Western that you wouldn't have in other Westerns. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. And if you have never seen Young Guns, do yourself a favor and check it out. Especially if you're a fan of Westerns. This is not your traditional Western. This is actually really well done in an 80s way, but it has a certain edge and coolness about it, a certain youthful energy infused within the DNA of a Billy the Kid story. And I like that. I like when you mix history and take some embellishments. Some of the best Westerns like Tombstone do that, for instance. And yeah, you could not have chosen a better cast and director to take on this project. I just wish Christopher Kane was able to do Young Guns 2. I would have liked to see that. I would have liked to see Charlie Bowdry's character survive and maybe go on to Young Guns 2. Who knows? But they weren't thinking of a sequel back then. But this film did become a hit. It was popular, and it did spawn a sequel 2 years later. So, 30 years later, I still think it holds up, and some people don't even know about this film, and that's sad. There's not that many reviews over it. There's only a select few, and not any, I don't think, of Young Guns 2. So on this 30th anniversary, I just wanted to bring my love for Young Guns to your attention, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But if you have seen Young Guns, feel free to share your memories of the film. What do you think about it? What's your favorite Young Guns film? I like both Young Guns, but the first one I think is the best. I mean, the other one's more epic, and it's a better made film, but I think Young Guns 1 is a better film. It just had all the right emotion, music, editing, and just certain amount of edge. It was rated R, and something about it was just very much a cool movie. Like, I haven't seen many westerns that are like Young Guns, and Young Guns is definitely one of the best. And again, the Brat Pack of the 80s, you're not going to see a group of actors like this at their time. All great actors on their own come together into this one film. I just love this film after 30 years, and I hope it's remembered 30 more years. Seriously, this film is as immortal as Billy the Kid. And yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Feel free in the comments below, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on Young Guns. Here are some more videos you can enjoy on my channel that are similar, and be on the lookout. I'm going to have a review of Young Guns 2 for this Young Guns 30th anniversary. I'll make you famous.